It's great to be here with everyone. Um, I know that we have some questions to kick this off and get to know more about who's here and your specific situation around toothbrushing, which is what we'll be going a little further in. And while we're doing that, I do want to say a disclaimer. This is not going to be an objective academic approach to all the options for kids toothbrushing, but rather it's going to be our story and a tool that we've designed and have found to be especially effective with helping kids to brush their teeth. So thank you for taking a minute to look at the questions around toothbrushing and share your answers, and hopefully we'll see those and get to learn about what we have in common and what maybe some of our common struggles in this area. Shall I keep going, Allison, or?
Okay, let's share the first results here. So
Okay.
primary reason for coming today. So we have 91% saying for work, the therapist, teachers, or assistants. We have 3% saying caregiver, child, and 6% saying I like to learn about other things to help with toothbrushing.
Okay, great.
All right, shall we launch the next poll?
Please.
All right. All right, the next poll is up on your screen, and this is asking, do you help children brush their teeth? All right, so it looks like we have 10% saying yes, and I currently use a 2-minute timer. Yes, but I don't use a 2-minute timer for 28%. 23% saying no, and 40% saying sometimes. All right, next poll coming up is, what kind of timer do you use? All right, so we have 48% saying they use the phone for a timer, 12% are saying they use an electric toothbrush, 12% with a sand timer, 4% with the egg timer, and 24% saying other. And for other, we have time timers coming in.
Nice.
Okay. All right, and the last poll. It's asking, overall, how is your toothbrush going? All right, so I have 6% saying it's going well, 59% saying sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't, 6% saying it's okay once we get going, but it takes a lot to motivate, 6% saying struggling, and 24% saying not applicable. All right.
Okay. Great.
That is our polls. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much. It's really helpful to hear that. And it's wonderful to be with you all who know about this day in and day out. And I'm Virginia from Boston, Massachusetts. And when my child was 4, we brought her to the dentist to find out she had 7 cavities. So we felt horrible, tried lots of things to help us with electric toothbrushes, stickers as rewards, sand timers. This was a little before the phone, but since then after that we tried the phone some too. Bedtime was hard for us as we'd all come home exhausted, and so just pushing, nagging to get that activity to happen was a bit of a struggle. So we created something that would work for us. And it's been satisfying that now she's 20 and hasn't had a cavity since, and nor has her sister. And the turtle has been part of the routine ever since years ago. And specifically, what we're talking about is this 2-minute turtle timer for toothbrushing. And I'm just going to show my screen so that we can actually see, since it's very visual. I'm going to just show you what it is. So it's this size, and it's a pressing, I'll describe it more, but this is the look. I was saying it's easy to place. It doesn't fall down like we experienced the sand timer stands, or it has a hook and loop that sticks it to the mirror. It's easy to start not complicated, no instructions needed. Kids can figure it out. It's also portable. It's lightweight, no cords. It's made for kids' little hands, water resistant, and packs easily for travel. And it teaches kids not just how to brush, and not just how long, but then how to brush. And because it becomes something they want to do, it gets rid of the nagging that we experienced, battle free. Just a little more on how this little turtle works. You start by pressing the button like you saw I did, the rubber shell. And once it's pressed, that's when sort of the game feeling begins. Children can guess which of the 4 flippers will be flashing first. It's different each time, the green, red, orange, or yellow. And they start brushing the part of their mouth that corresponds to the blinking flipper, one quadrant at a time. And that tactile feeling is different for the kids than, say, a phone, you can say, and it can get wet. So the 2 minutes goes by in a flash. It's visual, and with each 30 seconds, the flipper of the next one flashes a little faster than the one before it, building a sense of momentum. And so the 2 minutes are able to pass without them sort of complaining or even realizing it. And that's, as I'm sure you guys know, that's what's recommended by the American Dental Association. And at the very end, they get to take a victory lap where all the flippers flash, and that's a reminder to brush the bacteria off their tongue. It's also a feeling of a grand finale for completing their chore and a sense of accomplishment and this sort of pride and the motivation that comes with a job well done. And then finally, maybe you've heard of like the 2-minute rule, where so when after you've set a goal or you want to start on a project, it's recommended that you just say, I'm going to do 2 minutes. If you're trying to start a new habit, writing every day or adding something to your day, they say 2 minutes. And mostly because you can't finish if you don't get started. And often for kids, especially, the hardest part is getting started. So the turtle is, in addition to the toothbrushing, has turned out to be a useful tool for keeping and setting other healthy habits in a few different ways, by breaking up the 2 minutes into 30-second intervals for things like stretches, whether it's leg lifts or just physical therapy where kids need to hold something for 20 or 30 seconds. We've used it for washing hands. One flipper is 30 seconds. For taking turns, like you can have the turtle do this for 2 minutes and then the next person. Kids start to feel what 2 minutes is. It can be a game timer or a speaking timer, getting kids to understand, if you want them to speak or if you want them to be quiet after 2 minutes, it can be a tool to help with that. We've been hearing, so it's been selling to kids now since like 4 years, and we hear from all sorts of parents telling us how it's become part of they bring the turtle to bed, the kids name it, they bring it with them on their trips. It has a companion quality. And so that's just a bonus, that it can go beyond the toothbrushing. In today's New York Times, I saw in the will section that there was an article about brushing teeth, whether to do it before or after breakfast. And sort of the takeaway was, not sure, but what they do know is just setting, the most important thing is having a routine, that habit, making that an important part of your just doing the habit, which I'm sure this is nothing new to you. Okay. So brushing teeth, I consider one of those habits it's a sort of like a gateway habit. Once kids have learned to do something well for 2 minutes, they can start to see success and apply it to other healthy habits. And we chose the turtle as a message to say, slow and steady wins the race, and pacing yourself. And so we found a lot of that works for kids. This was just a quick video on my screen of that one child sent in of her enjoying her little turtle. And yeah, he was a little distracted, and we recommend age 4 and up. She's a little younger than the ideal, but kids start to understand that this is a timed activity and it takes time. And so you can start them before 4, but the ideal is like 4 to 10. And as I say, I use it every day. Adults use it too. It's just they're harder to convince and maybe not our focus for this talk. And then teenagers actually enjoy it also and need it. So, but the primary audience is the elementary school age kids. So that really is the wrap up of my 2-minute turtle timer, and I'm happy to answer questions about. As I say, we've had experiences now hearing from many parents around the country, how it's working, who it works for, and people are very happy. Currently, there isn't something that's like this that's not on a phone where you have the quadrant timer visually, so a visual guide with cues like that. So I really appreciate having a chance to be with you, and want to hear any thoughts or questions that you may have.
Questions coming in. Does this operate on batteries?
Oh, good question. I meant to mention, this is 2 AAA batteries. They're replaceable, obviously. And yeah, I can show you a picture of what that looks like if you wanna see. Let me see.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, and then this is with the this is what they go into.
Perfect. All right. Another question. Can it be submerged in water?
Good question. So we say water resistant, and it's got this very durable rubber gasket around that one opening. So we haven't had water problems. I would say if it got, yeah, so we haven't done the test for how long it can endure like a bathtub. It's not intended to go and be a floaty in the bathtub. But if it were to fall into the toilet or the bathtub, it would survive a quick submersion. But we say water resistant, like lots of water, but not too long submerged.
All right. Another question. Have you ever had kids with visual perceptual deficits who find this difficult to use?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've had a lot of parents of children with autism say that this has been helpful. They like the structure and the guide. There was a parent who thought that we've had a couple versions. I think this one is a nice mellower light compared to our original. Um, I think one person who didn't like the fact that it was random start every time you didn't know which one, for someone who wanted that repetition of the same start, that was more. But as the visual, I don't think so. Like, because it might be a little fast. I don't feel like I've heard that one. Yeah, but it's possible. But that doesn't ring a bell.
All right. Would you be able to turn it on so somebody's looking for an actual
Yeah.
demo? So if you could turn your webcam back on and just actually show us how the flippers move for the 2
Yes.
minutes.
So this is the size. So it starts, again, a random start, and then this is the first pace, each flipper. If you want to wait for the 2 minutes, we could go through the whole thing and we could talk as it goes, because 2 minutes can feel like a long time when you're just watching it.
Yeah, maybe if we can just see it go to the next quadrant so we can see how
Yeah,
it changes.
I'm happy to just stay here too for the whole thing and
Yeah.
answer questions.
Well, maybe while that's going, we can just talk about the next question, which is, I think you said teens can use it. Would you recommend this or one of the other ideas? I have teens who would struggle to brush as they say it's boring, sensory issues, forget.
Mm, I think, I mean, my teenagers and others I've heard who use it and like it. I would love to hear how they like it. I think you're comparing this to what were the other options, like a phone or I think the problem for me with phones is that they can be so distracting for teens. The time timer I think is great. It's a little less, it doesn't have the cues and guide for where. Um, so we haven't found the electric toothbrush we found can be really loud too for some for me and others, and it doesn't have the visuals. So I think it would be great, and I'd love to give you my email and hear how it goes. Happy to. If you're not satisfied, we would give you your money back.
All right. So
Here it is.
another
This
question.
is
Yeah.
getting faster. I think this is last one. So soon we'll see what we call the victory lap when they
Okay,
brush their tongue.
perfect. And while we're waiting for the victory lap, there's another one here. So there are three sides to each quadrant. How do you teach movement around the teeth for folks that have cognitive difficulties?
There it is. That's the victory lap. Um, three sides to each quad. So we just sort of do that, like dividing the mouth into four even parts. And um, if someone is, and so yeah, so the division within that is up to the brusher. As for cognitive, like if making the connection between the location in your mouth and the turtle is not working, then I am not sure. I don't know if it's helpful just to have a general 2 minutes, if they can say while it's brushing, brush your teeth, and then it becomes just a visual timer.
Yeah, I can pop in my OT background there for you if you want. What I've done with my kiddos, I've used this in the school setting that I worked at, and I've had kids with some significant needs. And what we actually did before we even started toothbrushing is the identification of the four sides of the mouth. So we would actually put the turtle up to the kiddo's mouth, and I had stickies or just numbers. So on each one of those fins, I would put a number or sometimes a color, depending on cognitive level, and we would just match. So they would have a color, a Band-Aid or a sticky note, or even a washable marker on the quadrants of their face, and we would just match color to color, number to number, so that they understood. So some pre-teaching was really helpful when using this with my kiddos.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. All right, so another one coming in. I currently use an iPad app with my students, Brush app, which gives visual feedback and rates their performance. It also has music. How's this tool better?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it sounds like you are there to help them with that. I haven't heard it. If it's working for you, if you're satisfied, then I would say don't switch. Um, two things. What this one is not made for adults to be there with them. It doesn't give them like the pressure information, how exactly where they've missed or how much pressure they're putting on it. So you're getting, it sounds like, more information. And if it's keeping kids' attention, if they're able to do it and with ideally without you there, then that's I'd call that a win. That's working. I'd say this is like a little more portable on their own if and water resistant and simple and just for setting up, no downloading or privacy stuff. So it's different. It sounds like you could even use both if that's but I don't know if that has a guide for where to go. But like so similarly, if you use an electric toothbrush that has the 30-second intervals, um, you can also use it with the turtle timer.